right. It is 0900. What does the O stand for? Oh my God, it's early. Thank you, Robin Williams. Hey, all, Joshua here again to cover some cross-site scripting, also known as XSS. In this short video, I'll be covering what cross-site scripting is, highlighting some of the most common types of cross-site scripting, and explaining how to prevent attacks on your website. So, what is cross-site scripting? Well, it's a type of vulnerability that allows a hacker to inject malicious code onto an otherwise trusted website. Cross-site scripting attacks normally come in the form of scripts, which are sent to unsuspecting website visitors and executed inside their browsers. These scripts can allow the hacker to manipulate the contents of a web page and even rewrite the entire page's HTML, or redirect victims to a web content that's controlled by the hacker. Attacks can also be used to access sensitive information like cookies, browser session data, and tokens. Some of the common types of cross-site scripting attacks include stored cross-site scripting. This is when the injected script or payload is stored on the server. For example, in the database, website comment, or visitor log. When the information is requested, the malicious payload is retrieved from the server and the attack is executed. Reflected cross-site scripting. This is when the payload is stored in the data sent to the server, not on the web page itself. Since a browser will execute any code that comes from a trusted server, attackers try to reflect their malicious scripts off the target environment so that the attack is activated in the victim's browser. Reflected cross-site scripting attacks can occur when a victim submits a form on a vulnerable website, clicks on the attacker's malicious link during a browsing session, or even just navigates around a compromised website. Self-cross-site scripting. This is a form of social engineering attack which targets information from the user's accounts. For example, social or mobile gaming accounts. Attackers trick unsuspecting victims into copying and pasting malicious content into their browser. Once executed, the malicious JavaScript allows the hacker to hijack the victim's account or access sensitive information. Blind cross-site scripting. This is a subtype of stored cross-site scripting. The main difference is that the attacker's payload is stored and executed at a later date, at a completely different time, or sometimes in a completely different location. For example, if a hacker submits their payload in a feedback form and the victim opens the submitted form a few days later, the payload is then executed. DOM cross-site scripting. This specifically targets vulnerable web pages, not the server itself. Attackers basically inject their payload into the web page by manipulating the browser environment. And since these attacks rely on DOM, or document object model, they occur on the client side after loading the web page. The most common place for DOM cross-site scripting is in the URL. For example, the attacker can construct a link to send a victim to a vulnerable web page with a malicious payload somewhere in the query string. So, how do we work to prevent cross-site scripting attacks? Well, of course, there's always our firewall plan. But here are some free ways to help prevent it. Allow list values. Restrict user input to specific allow lists so only safe values are sent to the server. Avoid and restrict HTML inputs. If you allow stylizing and formatting on input, use alternative ways such as Markdown or a sanitizer. Sanitize values. When using user-generated content, replace unsafe characters with their entities instead. Use HTTP-only flags on cookies. Prevent the JavaScript from reading the content of a cookie to make it harder for an attacker to steal the session. Use our web application firewall, or any web application firewall to help prevent attacks. So, I have already been affected by cross-site scripting. Now what? Well, you can hire us. Get a stack plan and let us go through the code. Or you can do it yourself. Some things to look for? Well, locate the vulnerable code. Remove the malicious content and any backdoors. Fix the vulnerability. Update all user and passwords for every account, including SFTP, database, cPanel, and admin credentials. And set up a firewall to help deter attacks in the future. So thanks so much for watching. I hope this overview of cross-site scripting has been helpful. Make sure you check out the links to our resources at the bottom of this video and hit the like button and subscribe for more website security videos and guides. As always, if you think you've been hacked or you want to secure your website against malware or cross-site scripting, we're here to help. Reach out on social or click the link below this video and we can assist you with your website security.